Hello friends, and welcome you all again to the Department of Environment Science. I am Jagruti Chavan, conducting the subject Fundamentals of Environmental Chemistry and Physics, which have paper code EVS 111. We have already completed our first chapter, and now we'll move forward to our second chapter, Chemistry of some atmospheric gases. The topic of today's lecture is atmospheric gases and photochemical reactions that are involved in the atmosphere. So first we'll go through the learning objective of today's lecture. We are going to deal with the introduction to atmosphere. What do you mean by atmospheric chemistry and photochemical reactions? The third is photochemical reaction, relating it with the chain reactions. And last point will be the atmospheric pollutant particles. So what do you mean by atmosphere? Actually, it is also called as the blanket that covers the earth, or it is a sea of gases. We all know when you are talking about sea, that means a huge water body. So when it consists of gas, then you can call it as atmosphere. Atmosphere mainly consists of two major gas molecules, that is nitrogen and oxygen, out of which nitrogen consists of about 78%, and second comes the oxygen, which has the composition of 28%. But this single molecule or this compound O2 or N2 and also other gases, continuously they are in a motion, forming compounds with other molecules. These gas molecules are constant and rapid in their motion, and this is only and only because of the pressure that is of atmosphere and the gases. The second one is the temperature. As you go above from the earth's surface at an higher altitudes, at that time the temperature goes on increasing, and this increasing temperature results in the change in the compounds or in higher reactions that are present in the atmosphere. And third one is the diffusion. Diffusion means the breaking of different molecules of the gas particles. So the diffusion occurs due to high temperature and pressure also. So all these components are connected to each other. This atmosphere actually has an role to keep the earth's surface protected from the infrared radiation or ultraviolet radiation that are coming from the sun. These radiations are very much harmful. The atmosphere absorbs that harmful UV radiation, and only the useful radiation that helps to increase the growth, reproduction activities, to develop the metabolic activities of biotic components of the earth, only that radiations reaches up to the earth's surface. The sun gives the shortwave radiations, but the ozone gas that is present in the stratosphere, it absorbs that gas, that ultraviolet radiation. Ozone gas absorbs it, and only the long wave radiations reaches up to the earth's surface. So what is the nature of the air? Nature means what are the gases basically present in the air. So as we have studied in the layers of atmosphere, the troposphere lies near to the earth's surface, which have different types of gases, mixture of gases, among which 78.1% by volume nitrogen gas is present, 21% oxygen, 0.9% argon, and 0.04% carbon dioxide. So here you can see that if there is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen and 0.9% argon, still our global warming concept or greenhouse effect is mainly due to the oxides of carbon. It has fourth position in the composition of air, but still it is quite harmful when you are talking about the properties of carbon dioxide. And the one major gas that is remaining, that is water vapor, which contributes about 1 to 3%. Actually water vapor, when you're talking, is very useful, because when water gets converted into water vapor, it goes up in the atmosphere and it forms the cloud. After condensation we get the rainfall, and which is very useful for the growth of the plants, or water is very useful for growth of all the biotic components. But what happens when this water vapor has the capacity to form compounds with different gas molecules continuously. When the pressure changes, temperature changes, then continuous these H2O molecules forms compound with other elements, and the material which is formed, or the product which is obtained, may be very harmful to the atmosphere. It happens naturally, but still it is harmful. So water vapor plays a some or the other time plays very harmful role for the atmosphere. After that, there are different trace gases that may be 0.002%, that includes ammonia, carbon monoxide, helium, hydrogen, krypton, methane, neon, nitrogen dioxide, nitrous oxide, ozone, sulfur dioxide, and xenon. Now, moving towards our next topic, that is atmospheric chemistry and photochemical reactions. So what is mean by atmospheric chemistry? It refers to the chemical process that occur in the atmosphere. Atmospheric chemistry occurs in the gas phase where molecules are relatively far apart. When different molecules of gases there are far from each other, and then they come in contact with each other, and a certain reactions are seen into it. There are different material coming together and a product is formed due to some reactions. So this process in atmosphere is called as atmospheric chemistry. And when we are talking about photochemical reactions, so when this reactions in atmosphere happens due to the photo means due to the light of the sun, due to the heat of the suns, whatever photons or energy is coming from the sun, by capturing that energy, if any reaction happens in the atmosphere, then it is called as photochemical reaction. So one example is given over here, that is when two oxygen molecules come together and there is one single oxygen molecule. So they combine together in the presence of any one uh, catalyst, you can say. So it helps, that catalyst may be a photon, so that energy helps them to combine together and form an ozone molecule. So in atmosphere, when there is oxygen molecule, oxygen atom, and then in presence of a photon, they form the ozone molecule. And if ozone is present in stratosphere, then it is very much helpful for living organisms. Similarly, here you can see, this is also one example. Here you can see that how the sun's radiations are coming from the sun. This is the oxygen molecules, then these get diffused, and again they get attached to another oxygen molecule, and ozone is formed. Similarly, here you can see how photons diffuses oxygen molecules and they form the ozone molecules. This is an photochemical reaction. So explaining it into a deep way, so when photons are initiated from ultraviolet radiation, that photons are absorbed by different molecules, that may be oxygen, nitrogen, whatever may be the molecules. The energy is been absorbed. The energy is given by capital E. So what is the E? That is equal, that is directly proportional to mu. Mu means the frequency of radiation. As the frequency increases, the energy emitted from the photon also increases. So when we remove that directly proportional, then we get a constant, that is H, that is also known as Planck's constant. This theory is given by quantum. It is also called as quantum's theory. So energy is directly proportional to the frequency of that radiation. So as the frequency of the radiation increases, simultaneously the energy of that photon also get increases. So when electromagnetic radiation of a sufficiently short wavelength can cause chemical bonds to break in the molecule, as we have seen that how sun's radiation come to the atmosphere and it breaks the molecule. So this continuous absorption of energy, breaking of molecules, and again forming a new molecule, again that new molecule absorbs the energy, it gets break, it forms new. This continuous process is called as the chain reaction. This can lead to formation of reactive species that can participate in reaction sequences called chain reaction. So we'll see how photochemical and chain reactions are related to each other. So I have told you that what do you mean by photochemical reaction? That means the reactions that occur in presence of sunlight or by gaining the energy that is in the form of photons. When any reaction happens, it is called as photochemical reaction. And when the continuous process of gaining the energy, breaking the bonds and again forming a new bond and again breaking it, this continuous process or continuous reactions are called as chain reaction. When we are explaining it in with an example, so we have a particular example of dichlorodifluoromethane, that is CCl2F2, which is used mostly in automobile air conditioner. Before carbon dioxide, it was said that the major greenhouse gas which has affected mostly in global warming, which has contributed in global warming, was this chlorofluorocarbons. But as it is banned now in different air conditioner and refrigerator conditioners, so now the carbon dioxide or oxides of carbon has been contributing more. That is, it is second to the chlorofluorocarbons. So here you can see when one molecule of dichlorodifluoromethane gains an energy, this is our E, that is, this is H is Planck's constant and mu is our frequency. So this is our energy. When dichlorodifluoromethane absorbs the energy, it gives or it donates one chlorine molecule from it, so it forms CClF2. Okay, so here one chlorine atom is been released. Species with unpaired electrons such as Cl are very reactive and are called as free radical. So it is an free radical. The outer orbit of chlorine has only one electron into it and it is now ready to combine with different atoms very easily. It is called as free radical. So when this chlorine molecule is present in stratosphere, so it can easily combine itself with the ozone. So the reaction that is formed is when this single chlorine molecule that is separated from the dichlorodifluoromethane gets combined with the ozone molecule, then it absorbs one or it combines with one oxygen molecule from ozone. So here you can see oxygen molecule is formed and one oxygen atom is combined with the chlorine atom. So here you can see this type of compound is been formed, which is also an unstable compound. It is also an free radical because it's here one dot means it have an electron in its last orbit, which can easily combine with other atoms. So again in the next process what happens, this unstable compound gets combined with single oxygen atom that is present in stratosphere itself, and again an oxygen molecule is formed and again this single chlorine atom is released. So here you can see that means in stratosphere, due to energy, dichlorodifluoromethane also releases one chlorine atom, and again due to this process also, after these two reactions, still one chlorine atom is been separated or a free radical is been prepared. So this is a type of chain reaction. That means continuous combination of different molecules forming a compound and again diffusion of those compounds is been done in the stratosphere. These reactions are responsible to break this ozone molecule, because here you can see that how one single ozone molecule is been separated, the oxygen is separated, and this is responsible for depletion of ozone that can be observed in Antarctic region of the earth. So this type of reactions are responsible for ozone depletion. So here you can see that one chlorine atom can bring about the destruction of as many as 10,000 ozone molecules. So you can see here also one chlorine free radical can be seen. Here is an chlorine free radical. So this is continuous process chain reaction that is responsible for the destruction of ozone. So this is an perfect example of, here you can see chlorofluorocarbon. When UV radiations are seen, one chlorine atom is removed, it attaches to ozone. then oxygen is released over here, again oxygen is formed and chlorine is separated. See, again you can see what happens over here. It separates the ozone, it again goes over here and oxygen is formed. Means here how we have one ozone molecule that is diffused and no ozone molecule is present, and only two oxygen molecules are being formed. So this is an chain reaction. Now when you are talking about atmospheric particles or atmospheric pollutants, at that time very small particles of the size of a micrometer or less than aerosols are important in atmospheric chemical processes. So what do you mean by particles? Particles means if it has a certain type of size, a known size, then it is called as atmospheric particles. The most harmful particles are particulate matter of 2.5 and 2.5 micrometer and 10 micrometer, that is called as PM10 and PM2.5. These particles are also called as aerosols, which are very much harmful, or some or the other time it is useful when you are talking about atmospheric chemical processes. So particle surfaces can act to catalyze atmospheric chemical reactions. So these particles helps that gas to get absorbed, and then it can reduce the chemical reaction. Solution chemical reactions can occur inside water droplets. Condensation nuclei such as small particles of sodium chloride formed from sea spray act to form water droplets from atmospheric moisture. Now talking about atmospheric pollutants particle, the first is dispersion aerosols that are formed by grinding solids, dispersing dust or atomizing liquid. That means the aerosols that are formed due to the when different solids are being grind, or dust is being dispersed into the atmosphere. That means there like for example we have chalk dust or we have dust in our house. So whenever we disperse it, then it forms the dispersion aerosols. Next is condensation aerosols that are produced when gases or vapors often formed as the result of atmospheric chemical processes or condensation, then it is called as condensation aerosols. There are different gases that combines with vapor, that may be oxides of sulfur or oxides of nitrogen. They combine with water vapor and then they gets condensed, so that is called as condensation aerosols. Further, it is mist. It includes raindrops, fog, cloud droplets and droplets of sulfuric acid produced when atmospheric SO2 is oxidized. So when atmospheric oxides of sulfur gets combined with water droplet or water vapor, then they form a certain mist like or fog like appearance in the atmosphere, due to which visibility gets reduced by different organisms. So that aerosol or that type of pollutant is called as mist. There are also some other particles that are present in atmosphere, that may be allergen pollens. There are different pollen that causes allergic to human beings or animals. They are called as allergen pollens. Acidic particles, when there is a huge number of oxides of sulfur, nitrogen and carbon present in the atmosphere, which combines with vapor and forms different type of acid in the atmosphere, then that acidic particles causes huge health effects. There are heavy metals such as lead, mercury, beryllium that may get dispersed into the atmosphere. There are radioactive radons, including radon 222 or 220, alpha emitters that decay to radioactivity. These are the examples. And there are particles having both direct effect, that may reduce the visibility, or indirect effect, that means they have reaction sites in the atmosphere. So when you're talking about direct effect, so there may be some fog like appearance whole day, or sometimes when there is huge wind velocity, at that time whole dust particles are dispersed into the air, so you can't see, there is a reduction in the visibility. This is the direct effect. And when you're talking about indirect effect, so slowly when the chemicals in the atmospheres get settled down on the surface, then it causes different reactions in the atmosphere. So these are few direct and indirect effects. So here we have completed an short introduction about atmospheric chemistry and photochemical reactions, in which we have just seen what is the atmosphere, what do you mean by atmospheric chemistry, and how photochemical reactions occur in the atmosphere, how photochemical reactions and chain reactions are related to each other, and what are the types of atmospheric pollutant particles present in the atmosphere. Thank you.